I'm JP Tuesday.
And I'm Kiki Cannon. As lifelong Disney fans, the work of countless talented Disney creatives have shaped our lives.
Now, as the Disney catalog expands, we're taking a journey through film and television to discover if that spark that shaped us as children lives on in adulthood.
Does your favorite Disney media still cast that same spell? Join us as we find out. We are Rewatching the Magic.
Hi, Kiki.
Hi, Tuesday.
We are starting the spooky season here, and we are not alone on this episode. For the first time in a long time, welcoming back to the podcast, Lindsay Smith.
Hello!
Yay!
Lindsay, it's been too long since you've been on the podcast. It's been like 4.5 years.
It's ridiculous.
And you might want to tell people why it's been 4.5 years since you've been on the podcast.
I've been busy making Solar Opposites, and our Halloween special, our second Halloween special, just came out as of this recording today. I'm bad at podcasts, but everybody go watch the second Solar Opposites Halloween special, because the more people watch our show, the more of it we get to make.
Yes, as this episode is being released to the public, the new Solar Opposites Halloween special will be released on Hulu. And so, yeah, Lindsay, you've been really busy. When we first talked, you were just a regular character designer, but now you are the head character designer for this show.
Yeah, I had a bit of a journey. I was a character designer, then briefly I was character lead, then for 3 seasons I was co-art director. And then for this season, they asked me, basically that we had 2 art directors for a while. They wanted to go back to just 1 art director. I do not have the skills to run backgrounds and background paint. And so they said, hey, do you want to be character lead again? And I said, yes, please get me out of here. And so now I'm back to being character lead and enjoying it quite a bit more than I was being art director.
Make that Disney money, girl.
Oh, yeah.
So, we're starting the spooky season here with James and the Giant Peach. Not necessarily a spooky movie.
Well, it's Roald Dahl, and everything Roald Dahl did is a spooky book/movie.
It's got a creepy air to it.
Yeah, I mean, it's in Disney has put it in their Halloween section on the app. And I mean, the character designs for the bug characters are a bit on the creepy side.
I think the character designs for the ants are that's A-U-N-T.
Oh,
I was going to say.
Honestly, I feel like most of the characters in this movie would make like a really good Halloween costume. Like, I want to get like a group costume thing going of like just do all the bugs.
Paper-mache heads and
Either
stuff.
that or just like, kind of Disney bounding almost, where it's just like putting together an outfit version of, what the bugs are wearing. Either way, I think would be very cool.
Oh my god. Do like the earthworm, but do like the Heidi Klum earthworm.
Oh my god.
Would you love me if I was a worm?
Yeah, like do the Heidi Klum earthworm from her Halloween costume like 2 years ago and mix it with the David Thewlis worm from this. That would be amazing. I mean, it would be impossible to like go anywhere.
Yeah.
Because Heidi Klum had to literally have people like wheel her around on a cart. But yeah, that would be incredible.
So, Lindsay, when we first had you on the podcast a long time ago, you mentioned that you really wanted to do James and the Giant Peach. What drove you to want to do James and the Giant Peach?
My sister and I were very into this movie when we were kids. We were both very into animation in general, and then we liked weird stuff, and so just like this creepy weird stop motion movie coming out, we really liked it. And then like around when it came out, I don't know who, but someone gave us a James and the Giant Peach like play tent, those little mini tents that for kids to play in.
Mhm.
And we made it into a club that we called the Peach Pie Pit, and it was a club of 2, me and my sister. And as far as I can remember, our club activities consisted of, like, I think we, like, made little paper cutouts of, like, the characters and, like, also some peaches or something, and we would just, act out silly little stories with those inside of this, like, peach tent. Yeah.
So, have you ever read the book?
Ah, I feel like I have, but it's been years and years.
I don't think I ever have. Keek, have you ever read the book?
Yeah. I read a lot of the Roald Dahl books when I was a kid. So that was one of the ones, it was like an hour of my life. Like,
They're not long books.
No.
Well, and also when I was a kid, I could put away books. Like, I got so many personal pan pizzas as a kid.
I was
Oh
going
my
to bring
god.
that up. You have mentioned that in past episodes.
Yeah, no, I was like the queen of the Pizza Hut reading thing. I think at one point the local Pizza Hut thought I was cheating somehow.
So before we begin into it, I want to talk a little bit about the director of this movie, Henry Selick. And of course, Henry Selick was the person that directed The Nightmare Before Christmas. Yes, it's Tim Burton's Nightmare Before Christmas, but Selick directed it. A lot of what people liked about that movie is Henry Selick's additions to the story. And this was the big follow-up. This was his next feature film after Nightmare. And Selick's work is getting a lot of good recognition. The re-release of Coraline made massive numbers this year. Did anyone get a chance to see the re-release of Coraline this year?
No.
No. I saw it when it came out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I saw it when it came out, but did not get to go see.
It does seem like he's getting more recognition, and people are trying to give him his due, especially as far as Nightmare Before Christmas goes.
Yeah, the upcoming re-release of Nightmare Before Christmas is being touted as Henry Selick's Nightmare Before Christmas.
Good.
Yeah, I will say that some of the maquettes from some of Henry Selick's work are in the Center for Puppetry Arts in Atlanta. So when I go up there, I do like looking at those. I know that they do have some from Coraline.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they have any from James and the Giant Peach. They might have at one point, but some of their stock goes in and out. But I know that they have some from Coraline on permanent display, I believe. So yeah, it just depends on kind of what's there. But he is part of their stop motion puppeteering.
And his movies have primarily been stop motion movies. Again, we mentioned Nightmare, James the Giant Peach, Coraline, Monkey Bone, and of course his most recent film, Wendell and the Wild.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, between this and the Leica films, keeping the stop motion alive in Hollywood.
Yeah.
So before I want to make this mention. I don't know how you two felt about it, but I had a bit of an issue with the version that's on Disney Plus. We've talked about this before. I don't think this got remastered.
Definitely not. Definitely not. It looks kind of horrible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, whatever Rip or whatever digital file they have on Disney Plus. Not the best quality wise. It's oddly cropped. Especially the live action bits are really weird quality. The quality does pick up when we get to the stop motion parts, but the live action parts, I don't know what the issue is, but it looks really pixelated. It looks zoomed in. It looks really not good in terms of video quality. And if any movie deserves a remaster, it's this movie.
Wow, that's so weird. I watched it on YouTube, and it looked fine. That's weird that the Disney Plus copy would be worse.
That says a lot. I mean, that the version that you can buy on digital is pristine, probably because it's Blu-ray quality. Maybe this is just DVD.
I mean, it was still, it wasn't like, YouTube is calling it HD, but it wasn't like HD, but it's still a movie that came out in the 90s, but it didn't look bad. It just, was clearly an old movie. But it wasn't like cropped or pixelated or anything. That's so weird. Get it together, Disney.
We talked about this a few times, especially last week when we talked about Smart House, is that they're weirdly cropping some of these older things, and just it looks not good on the service. And there's no option to fix that.
This one wasn't cropped. Like, it wasn't like a Simpsons deal, like we talked about before, where it was like, oh, they stretched it to fit the ratio or whatever. But it was the resolution just seemed not good enough quality for digital streaming. But you're right, it did seem a better quality once it went into the animated parts.
And I have noticed that with older hybrid movies like that, like if you have a movie that starts off in live action and transitions to animation, the live action parts will not look as good as the animated parts. Maybe they filmed this at a different frame rate. I don't know. Or again, I don't know what digital transfer they used, but it's just, I've noticed it's in this movie and a couple of older movies which has a transition from live action to animation. Maybe it's just that. I don't know.
Can I say a weird thing? Because I have not seen this movie in I don't know how long. I had totally forgotten there was a live action part to this movie.
Me too!
Me too!
I somehow forgot both that it was live action and that it was a musical. I don't know how I forgot about these two very key things.
Yeah, I had forgotten that there were songs in this movie as well. Oh, and that it was Randy Newman songs. Like, one, that it had any songs, and two, that Randy Newman had any part in this movie. But yeah, because the funny thing is that if you, in my memory, because I'll admit I didn't go and watch the trailer on Disney Plus or anything, so maybe I'm wrong on this, but I do not remember them selling this movie as anything other than stop motion animation from the people who brought you Nightmare Before Christmas.
I think you're probably right about that. I didn't look up the trailer either, but there are certain lines in the movie that are that was in the trailer because the play in my head, but it's I don't think the trailer showed any of the live action stuff, so maybe that's why it was erased from our brains.
And whenever you see any kind of artwork from this movie or clips on YouTube of the movie, it is always from the stop motion animation portion of the movie.
So when this movie opened with a real live kid and real live parents sitting on a not real live beach, I was like, am I watching the right movie?
Yeah, my mom came and sat down next to me and was like, "What? I don't know if I've seen this. What version is this?" I'm like, "You had to have seen this. Paige and I were obsessed with this, around when it came out." And she also forgot that it had live action, because like when it turned into stop motion, I said, does it look familiar now? She says, yes. So
this is the movie I remember.
We expelled it from all of our brains.
Yeah. 30 minutes into an hour and a half movie, this finally looks like the movie I remember.
Yeah.
It takes so long for them to like actually go on their journey, and I remember that being, and I mean, I guess it is still most of the movie, but it's like I remember like, wow, that takes a really long time for them to become the stop motion characters and for them to like actually like go on their whole little journey thing. It's like more than a third of the way into the movie.
Yeah, you just have to watch 30 minutes of this poor kid be abused by the two most awful women in the history of ever. And you're like, okay, I know there's a better movie coming after this, but as an adult, I really want to switch this off. Because I don't think I've watched this movie as an adult.
I don't think I've seen it. Again, I have not seen the whole movie as an adult. But I have seen some of the clips, and I do remember like the "My Name Is James" song. I think that's the only song I remember from the movie.
I did not remember a single song from this movie. Like Lindsay said, I did not remember this being a musical.
Yeah, so all of a sudden, he's having, the worst day of his life and being abused by his aunts, and all of a sudden he starts singing, "My name is James." Okay, where is this coming from?
Like, this does not seem like the type of movie that should be a musical.
Most of the songs are in the animated portion. So there's
But even in the animated portion, it does not seem like it should be a musical. Was that just me? Like, Randy Newman is not always my favorite composer. Like, there's some Randy Newman songs I will absolutely go to bat for. But he's not, like, my favorite musical composer.
Like, the songs aren't, like, as built into, like, they just kind of happen.
We've seen enough of the Disney Renaissance movies that we know, the natural progression from dialogue into song.
Even if you're doing, like, a Toy Story or something,
mm-hmm.
where the songs do not necessarily happen within the context of the movie, they're not sung by the characters, the music makes sense, and it talks about how the characters are feeling. If you've got something like You Got a Friend in Me, that makes sense with what's going on at the time.
Strange things, and I'll never go home again, and all that stuff.
Yeah. I mean, but even though technically the songs are supposed to inform you what's going on with the characters here, they somehow do not.
Yeah, it seems like it's a song for the sake of a song. Like, all of a sudden, again, James talking about his dead mother and how she named him James. Or the kid and the bugs talking about they're suddenly now a family.
Or, we just realized we're inside a giant peach and maybe we should eat that. Like,
how'd you guys get that hungry before realizing you're inside of a peach? Yeah. At least one of you must be, like, a frugivore.
Well, the thing is that it makes even less sense because James has already nommed this peach. That's how he got animated.
Mm-hmm.
He already knows this is the tastiest peach.
He waited until everybody else got super hungry and started fighting each other. We're like, calm down, guys. I have a great idea. We can just eat the peach.
Was I the only one watching because I couldn't remember anything about this movie. Like, I remembered that there was, like, a way too sexy spider, and I remembered that, like, they were inside of the peach and on the ocean. Like, that's kind of what I remembered about this. Was I the only one watching this again with, like, really fuzzy memories of this movie going, like, these idiots are gonna eat their mode of transportation / home?
I knew that they didn't do that. I remembered that much, that like they eat enough of the peach, but like not enough of it to screw up their journey.
Like, I was
Yeah.
afraid they were at least gonna, like, eat a hole in it and, like, oh no, we're flooding the peach or something, you know? Because that seems like something Roald Dahl would have done.
Yeah.
Like, you greedy little kid, now you've eaten the peach. Like, you know?
Then the little orange men start singing a song.
Yeah, that seems like a very Augustus Gloop kind of moment to have. But
I will say that, okay, I have not read the book, but I assume this is not in the book. But the transition from him to animated coming after he ate one of the alligator tongue worms. Is it me, or did it give off a bit of a, especially at the end there, a bit of a Wizard of Oz vibe? That since he does transition back to live action in that last bit, that was the adventure all a dream, a hallucination from him eating this green glowing worm thing.
There is a moment near the end where it feels like are they gonna come back? Did any of this really happen? I mean, the peach is still there and it was huge, but I guess it was huge before he went on his journey, and so it does kind of seem like, oh no, he's on his own now, and all of this was a hallucination or a dream or something. But then they all drop down. It's like, nah, man, giant bugs are real.
yeah, the thing is, though, is that, like, in the book, it's not the same. Like, nothing happens to him. He gets magical somethings. They're not like wormy things. They're something else. I don't know. Magical MacGuffins of some sort. And, like, he spills them, and so they affect the bugs and they affect the peach, but they never affect him. Like, he just finds, like, a wormhole in the peach, and he's like, huh, this is a big enough hole for me to crawl into. Might as well crawl into a giant peach and see what that looks like, you know? Because he's a kid and kind of dumb, you know? And so he, like, just does that, and then he's like, oh, look, giant bugs. I'm a lonely child. Be my friends, you know? And then the rest of it is kind of similar, you know? There's, like, they roll off into the ocean. There's sharks, but they're not metal. They're just sharks. I don't know what the heck is up with the metal sharks in this.
Or
Like
the
Like
giant.
to show off.
I mean, or from my understanding of the book, it was just an actual rhinoceros that escaped from the zoo. But in the movie, it's like a sky demon rhinoceros.
It's even more terrifying. It's not even a supernatural rhinoceros. His parents just got straight up ate by a regular ass rhinoceros. Too real, man.
Yeah, like, it just, his parents got eaten by a man-eating rhinoceros. Like, rhinos don't eat people, but, like, his parents literally got eaten by a meat-eating, like, carnivore rhino. Like, they didn't get trampled or nothing. They got
like, not even built for eating a person. Like,
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think maybe they had to, like, because, you know, when you're reading a book, you've got, like, you know, all of the images in your brain, and, you know, especially as a kid, like, all right, yeah, I guess man-eating rhinoceros, I guess that makes sense. But I think, like, in a movie, when you have to show the visuals, Like, it's like, okay, we can't just have it be a regular rhinoceros, because how do we even show that, these two people being eaten by just a normal-ass rhinoceros that decided to eat meat one day? No, it's got to be a crazy, terrifying cloud rhinoceros. Plus, it also, like it creates this, like, sense of when something is scary as a little kid, like, this, like, I don't understand what this thing is, but now my parents are gone and I'm horrified. Like, this, like, I really liked the cloud rhinoceros, just because it, like, kind of similar to, like, the scary stories to tell in the dark illustrations, where it's like, I can't quite tell what's going on in there, and that makes it even more scary. And I was also thinking about, like, when it comes back at the end, like, because it's so much more obscured in smoke, and, like, clearly there's a stop motion rhinoceros in there, but, like, most of it is this smoke effect, and so it's, like, almost like not existing in the same reality as either the stop motion or the live action. It's this, it's got its own rules. You don't know what this rhinoceros is going to do. It already ate 2 people. And I feel like that, like, really adds to the terror of it, especially if you're, like, a little kid watching this.
It also adds to the, is this a hallucination?
Yeah.
Fake out. Because right at the end there, he sees the sky rhinoceros again.
Yeah.
I think that in the movie, in the book, it has to be something ridiculous, I guess, because Roald Dahl was really into that.
Mm-hmm.
So he was like, yeah, they went to London Zoo one day and a man-eating rhinoceros escaped and ate them. Because it's ridiculous, and, like, no kid reading that book is going to have lost their parents in that way.
Right, yeah.
Which I guess is kind of nice, I mean,
yeah.
we've talked before about the trauma of, like, being a little kid and going to Disney movie after Disney movie with the dead parents.
Yeah.
But the thing is that I think it's kind of interesting in the movie, because watching it back as an adult, I think as a little kid I was like, this is stupid. Because I wasn't, like, a little kid, I was in, like, high school when this movie came out, but watching it back as an adult and, like, with a master's degree in, like, thinking too much about this sort of thing, I think kind of the point of the cloud rhinoceros in the movie was that as a little boy, he saw something happen to his parents, or maybe something happened to his parents while they were away on a trip. And either he doesn't know what happened to his parents, or he doesn't understand what happened to his parents. Like, maybe they, like, disappeared on a hiking trip, or they fell off a cliff, or died of hypothermia, or got hit by a car or something. Like, like, it's like a really mundane sort of thing, but something that's very unlikely to also happen to him.
Mm-hmm.
But then the ants come up with the idea of, like, a rhinoceros came out of nowhere and ate them.
Yeah.
And when you're a little kid, you don't know that can't happen.
Yeah. Yeah, it does kind of tie into, this is what the ants are kind of using to control him. And so, like, maybe there is, if maybe there is a, within the movie, actual explanation for how his parents passed away, but, like, it's easier to control, the kid that you suddenly have to take care of with, like, this terrifying, fantastical monster than it is to, say, like, well, your parents died in a car accident, so if you don't behave yourselves, you might die in a car accident. It's like, well, that doesn't track. But a scary monster rhinoceros, I mean, yeah, I don't understand how that thing works. Like,
I think I
sure.
hear a rhinoceros, James. You
get back
to work.
Yeah. I also say that, like, the scene where the rhinoceros first shows up, like, that transition from oh, we're a happy family looking at this, postcard book full of like, oh my God, we're going to go to New York. It's so great. And then like the way it like kind of like is close on him and then pulls out and suddenly his parents just aren't there. That's so good. Like, just like everything was happy and fine, and now they're just gone. And like as someone who has lost a parent, it's like, yeah, that feeling is real. Like just that like they're gone. Really, they're just gone.
And all of the color leaves the movie.
Yeah.
Because it's all bright and shiny and glowing, and then dead parents, and then gray and dull. Like, it does have that, I dare I say it, Burton-esque feel to it.
Mm.
Yeah, it's the difference between, since we talked about Edward Scissorhands before, it's that bright suburban Florida,
Yeah.
thing versus the like
saturated,
gothic kind of castle feel, like the back and forth between the two. But yeah, it's kind of, I like to think of the rhinoceros kind of like, I heard a guy once talk about the fact that like when he was a little kid, his parents would always be like, you better be good or we're going to send you to boarding school, and they always used the threat of boarding school as like the big, like, we're going to send you away. And he was like, and then I became an adult and I found out how much boarding school costs. And he's like, and then I realized my parents were lying to me the entire time because we were dirt poor and there was no way they could afford to send me to boarding school. I could have been the worst kid in the world. And they would have never sent me to boarding school because that's expensive. So I kind of feel like that's like the rhinoceros to the ants. Like it's the
boogeyman.
It's the boogeyman they use to like, and of course there's no way they can conjure a rhinoceros. Like,
yeah.
But I do like that it's the, by the end of the movie when he sees the rhinoceros in the clouds, to him it's the specter of failure and death. 'Cause, he's letting loose all of his friends and the birds, and the peach is going to plunge down into question mark.
Mm-hmm.
And he doesn't know what's about to happen to him. But, like, he just has to stare the rhinoceros in the face and be like, okay, I don't care anymore.
Yeah.
I'm not scared in this situation. So I like the metaphor, but it is, I don't know. I don't know how that works as a little kid because I was, in high school by the time I saw this for the first time.
I mean, again, it all adds up into that fake out of, is this a dream? Is this some sort of hallucination from eating a glowing worm?
Yeah, hallucinogenic worm that Pete Postlethwaite gives you.
Bag of glowing pasta.
Yeah.
Even as a kid, I was like, that is pasta. Sir, those are pasta noodles you were giving that little boy.
I have seen crocodile tongues, thank you, sir. That is not what they look like. In the movie, they are, Pete Postlethwaite, who has been narrating the movie, shows up in the live action portion and is like, hey, you look like you've had a crap day, little boy. Have some crocodile tongues. They'll give you whatever you want. And don't let them out of the bag. And immediately James trips and all of them get away.
Very, very Jack and the Beanstalk. If he's supposed to be some sort of, for lack of a better term, snake oil salesman selling, pasta noodles to a kid he's telling them they're alligator tongues, and the magic works.
Except he's not a salesman of anything. He just hands them over.
Just shows up. Hey, kid, you need these. Don't drop them.
And just knows his name.
Yeah. Don't worry about it, kid. Just take these noodles. Everything's gonna be fine.
Thank you, stranger. I will definitely take these things you are giving me. And
my options are glowy noodles or fish heads. So at this point, I'm gonna go with the noodles.
Roly-poly fish heads. Eat them up. Yum.
Yeah, and we all did that when we saw those.
Yes. Like, the ants are just so cruel to him for no reason. They just get off on causing this kid pain, even daring to raise his hopes. Like, we've left you some dinner, and it's the fish heads. And, oh, we're going to be rich. No, we, as in my sister and I, are going to be rich. You are not going to be rich with this giant peach.
As far as he knows, the only thing the glowy pasta worms did was make the peach really big, and they were like, yeah, don't act like you had anything to do with the peach. It's our peach, and James is like, literally, I had everything to do with the peach. Like, but of course he won't say it,
No.
Yeah, I mean, it's just kids in Roald Dahl books just have to go through abuse.
I think it's kind of just kids in, like, all British books. Because I read so many British children's books when I was a kid. Like, I read about half of the Narnia books before I got so sick of them that I put them down. And I got so sick of them just because of the, like, abuse of the kids. When I read those wizard books by that woman we don't talk about, I was like, literally, these are supposed to take place in the 90s. I know you have Child Protective Services by this point. Like, I know Muggles have Child Protective Services. What is wrong with this other world? Like, stop abusing this child, But, like, I had read so many books that were set, like, in the, 40s or whatever in Britain, and I was like, did British people just not love their children until, like, 10 years ago? Because I'm just reading these books, and, like, every one of these books is just like, she hadn't seen her parents in 2 years because she had been away at boarding school, and when she got back, they greeted her with a cold cup of tea, and, like, I'm like, okay, seriously, what is wrong with this country? I think I know how we got the world we got now. Like,
I mean, it even goes into the later freaking Matilda. That came out in the 80s.
I mean, that was also Roald Dahl. So, like
I said, the doll-verse just has these kids that have terrible lives.
Right, children's authors are not painting a great picture of the parents of your nation.
Yeah, British children's authors really need to write books where, like, the child is loved first. Or at least just has, like, a typical home. Like, well, maybe the family is complex.
No. Neglectful parents, neglectful aunts, abusive aunts and uncles, and
yeah. I'm not saying that you can't have problematic families in children's literature, but, like, the British really went overboard with the abusive families. But yeah, the thing is, like, Pete Postleway just shows up and he's like, yeah, you look like an abused child. Here's a magical item to get you out of it. And then the ants for a little while are like, hey, like, let's make money off this peach. And eventually James shows up and finds one little worm jumping around, or crocodile tongue, or whatever. bouncing around. And this is the part that really differs from the book, because I think they just needed a way to be like, how do we also make this kid animated?
Yeah.
Like, how do we explain the animation? And so they explain it by, like, he sees it bouncing around, and then he finds the little tunnel, but instead of crawling in it, he's like, oh no, he doesn't find the tunnel. He's just like, you know what? Screw those old biddies. I'm going to take a bite out of this giant peach. Because it looks delicious, and they told me not to.
I haven't had real food in God knows how long.
Yeah, it's like
he eats their leftover. He's literally digging in the garbage to eat the food they threw away.
Yeah, he's eating potato chips out of the garbage for supper. And he's like, you know what, screw it. There is a giant piece of tasty looking fruit in my front yard. I am at least going to have a bite.
And then one of those little worm things jumps into the piece and he eats it.
Yeah.
That's why I said it adds to the, is this a dream? Because he just ate a glowing worm. He's probably having a hallucination.
The only way you can kind of tell it's not a hallucination is that he is in a completely different continent at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
But I will say the transition from live action James to stop motion animated James is actually pretty good.
I like the transition to better than the transition back.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Like it needed, like they had more time to like give you like, ooh, what's happening? He's crawling into a new world, and at the end it's like, all right, we need him to be real again.
Yeah, the transition too is really neat because you get that shadow effect and you see like he's crawling and then like his head is the animated proportion and then like the front half of his body and then like his legs and stuff, like it like moves along. And then like when he does the transformation back at the end, it's kind of like some glitter falls on him and they just do like one frame he's animated and one frame he's live action.
I always read it as the glitter was like that's the animation sloughing off, like the glitter is his animated form. He's being released.
I would have preferred if they had, because it kind of goes in and out of darkness, since he's on top of a building and he's on top of the Empire State Building and you have that red light for the airplanes. If it had gone dark and he was, he's animated, it goes dark, the light comes back on and he's live action again, I think that would have been a better transition.
Yeah, I was expecting them to do that and then they didn't, and the way they did it was worse. And I was with you. I was like, since they had that flashing light thing, I was like, oh, okay, it's going to go dark for a second and it's going to come back and he's going to be live action. But then they didn't, and you can see the transition on screen and it really does not hold up.
And again, to add to the is this a dream or not, is that they meet, in their adventure, they're trying to get to New York from England and they get lost. They end up in the freaking Arctic. They need a compass, and they find a pirate ship, and we get a cameo from Jack Skellington.
Well, how many pirates? Oh, we're using Jack's head.
I mean, the Centipede calls him Skellington.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, there's my two favorite jokes in the movie are back to back in the same scene. Because you've got all the bugs. I mean, we kind of glossed over the bug introduction because, like, he goes into the peach, and he meets all the bugs that are living inside the peach pit,
which he somehow has a relationship with.
Well, just the spider. Well, I mean, he has heard the grasshopper playing music outside his window and stuff like that, but like. He only kind of realizes it later on. But he sees all the bugs and he's like, don't eat me. And they're like, why would we eat you? Like, most of us eat, like, dirt or plants or whatever. And he's like, well, you're giant bugs. I just kind of figured. And they're like, don't be weird. Which I
Racist,
kind of
dude,
like.
come on.
Yeah. But it's kind of interesting because most of the bugs just look like what you would expect giant bugs to look like. And then there is the sexy Susan Sarandon spider.
Yeah, whatever pseudo French voice Susan Sarandon is giving the spider.
But also, she's like they do the rest of the bugs, like, kind of in the proportion that the bugs would be if they were enlarged.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the ladybug looks like a ladybug, but just bigger.
Mm-hmm.
And I just absolutely love the performance that Jane Leeves gives for the ladybug.
Mm-hmm.
It's so funny, like her whacking things with her purse and, I can't abide rudeness, like that. Perfect. Love it. Great performance.
I do find it weird that Miriam Margolyes played both Ant Sponge and Glowworm.
I'm just gonna say I do not understand the British obsession with that woman. Don't get it.
Why you have Joanna Lumley here? Why is she not playing also one of the bugs?
Mm.
Like, yeah, like she should be a sexy something.
She could have been Sexy Spider.
I mean, no offense to Susan Sarandon, who is very good, Sexy Spider. She's a very good, sexy whatever.
Yeah.
But, yeah, Joanna Lumley deserves to be sexy something. We've talked about her before.
Yeah.
But, David Thewlis as the, worm with no metaphorical backbone is also great. I'm just gonna say it, like, the centipede, you just want something to step on him or eat him or whatever. Like, he is so annoying.
Spider wants to eat him.
I mean, that's kind of her way of flirting, I think, though. Just because of how spiders mate. I think we're supposed to take that as flirting.
She does shed a tear when it's thought that Centipede died.
Yeah. But, like, I do not like that character. I think it's, like, too overdone, because I know they're trying to be like, he's a Brooklyn brawler, and come over here, I'm a tough guy, and say that to my face or whatever, but, like, ugh.
And, he's, I've been all over the world. I've sailed the 12 seas. There's 7 seas. Well, I sailed the rest of them.
Yeah, but, and then it's like you find out, like, he just lived in a National Geographic, which I do kind of find as a funny joke. But going back to
National Geographic.
Yeah, going back to the funny jokes, Centipede falls asleep at the helm and gets them stuck in the Arctic. And so they're, trapped up there in an iceberg or whatever.
All their birds are frozen.
Yeah, all the birds are frozen. Poor seagulls. And they don't know where they are because Centipede's like, well, we're either very far north or very, very far south. Like, it's either Arctic or Antarctic, one or the other. But then, as Grasshopper is yelling at him for falling asleep at the helm and getting them trapped, Centipede jumps off the side of the Peach into the water. And Grasshopper has my favorite joke in the whole movie, which is, oh no, he just committed pesticide.
Because he sees the boat there, and the boat should have a compass on it.
yeah, he sees the shipwreck and what we don't know until after we follow him, down under the water is like, oh, okay, he's looking for a compass. And then immediately down there, once we follow him under the water and we realize that he wasn't attempting to commit pesticide, he was, looking for something.
Well, because he's listening to all of his friends lament that they'll never get to New York and never have these happy homes that they dreamed of, and it's all just gnawing at him. And so he leaps into the water to get a compass.
But then he gets down there and he sees, the bones of the captain, and he goes, a skeleton.
Mm-hmm.
Which I also thought was a funny joke because,
it's the same puppet from Nightmare Before Christmas, the same maquette.
The same heads, at least.
Yeah, the same maquette head, at least. And then all the pirate ghosts come to life, and they are very, very weird, because one of them is a duck.
One of them's a straight-up Donald Duck skeleton pirate. He, makes the, Donald Duck noise.
Which, does make sense.
I wonder if they reused that sound, or if they actually had the actor come in and do the quack.
I honestly don't know. I didn't see
not listed in the script, and not listing them on the cast. So
yeah, I didn't see any listing. The thing is that,
skeleton pirates years before the Pirates of the Caribbean movies.
Yeah. Ooh. The funny thing is I like that nobody in this film apparently needs to breathe underwater.
Nope.
Because my third favorite joke in the movie is that it comes back again when the ants show up at the end of the movie in New York.
In their car that was wrecked by the peach.
And they open the doors and seawater pours out, and they get out and they're covered in seaweed.
Yeah, so they drove from England to New York.
On the bottom of the ocean, and apparently they didn't need to breathe the whole time.
And apparently their car is very fast because, dang, you're competing with a flying peach.
Yeah. None of the bugs or James had to breathe either. Most bugs do need air. So I thought that was interesting, because I'm like, oh, we're just skipping over the part where they need air, huh? And, but then the ants don't need air either under the water. So
you can argue that it's the power of the alligator tongue that made them not need to breathe, but then how do you explain the ants?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You could have been like, well, they were all affected by the crocodile tongue, and then the ants show up, and you're like, okay, so that wasn't it.
It's very 90s / children's book logic. Science has no home here.
Yeah,
we're in a fantastical story.
But
the thing that irked me as a child was the design of Centipede's head. It's he has what would be the centipede mouth parts that are kind of like horns on his head, but he still uses them like centipede mouth parts. He still bites through things with them, and even as a child, I was like, that's not how that works.
That also kind of weirded me out as an adult. I was like, y'all realize that that's like a mouth, right? It's although I think the spider eyes were the right amount of awesome and creepy.
Yeah, I liked that detail.
Two eyeballs in one eye socket.
Yeah.
It's not quite right, of course, but it does give the multiple eye idea.
Yeah.
But I do love that, they do the whole thing where, they fight off. That's a really cool fight scene with the skeletons underwater. And then they're like, oh no, Centipede has died. And I was like, yes,
Because he
Centipede
can't
has
move without his
died.
hat.
Yeah. But then he, like, shows up with the, like, pirate captain's hat and the pirate captain's sword and...
With the pirate captain's arm still attached to the sword.
Yeah.
Because you see the hat come up, you see the sword come up, there's the skeleton arm, and it's just Centipede.
Yeah. And I was like, he's still alive. And... yeah, I was like, crap. And then Spider's all like, I don't know whether to kill you or to kiss you. And I was like, can we go with the first one? Because that'd be awesome.
I mean, if it is a mating ritual, that's usually what spiders do to their mate afterwards.
Well, I mean, they usually do it in the other direction, though. Like, kiss, then kill. But I'm like, we could start with the first one. But, you know, then we have the whole thing where it's like, oh, we've made it to New York, but oh no, the rhinoceros has found us, and I have to be like, you're not a real rhinoceros, which makes sense if he realizes that was just the way the ants were controlling him, but it's never really explicitly stated in the movie.
Yeah, something still, yeah.
I would have liked it if that's what they were going for them to have said it a little bit more, because it might have helped the kids in the audience a little bit better.
Yeah, if there had maybe been a conversation about, like, well, what is it even? Like, I don't think that rhinoceros is even real. And if it shows up again, well, I'm gonna...
Yeah. I mean, as an adult, I like the debate. Like, do you think it's a metaphorical rhinoceros? Do you think he's dreaming? Do you know?
It also is that little nod back to the beginning of the movie where James and his parents are looking at clouds and they're using imaginations to, oh, that cloud looks like this. Is it just James's imagination that cloud looks like a rhinoceros?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I do like that he gets to New York and he's on top of the beach and he's like, the peach is on top of the Empire State Building. He's like, wait, I can't be in New York. Where's the Empire State Building?
And that zoom out. Yeah, I gotta say, that was actually a pretty funny joke.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a pretty, again, it's not 100% accurate because, like, in this movie, it isn't supposed to be, but the exaggerated matte painting of the New York skyline as it zooms out from the peach.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, 'cause it's supposed to be a throwback to, you know, like the movies of the 40s and stuff, where so much of it was on a soundstage with, you know, cardboard sets and stuff, you know. I love the set design of this movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The live action set design, you know, because it's so different from the animated set design.
Yeah. But it's all still so, like, heightened enough that it's not jarring when we go into the animated. Like, it does feel like it's still within the same world. Like, the scary rhino can exist in both of these places because the live action is still kind of heightened and storybook-esque.
Yeah, and, you know, once James kind of stands up to his aunts and everything, and he's like, and I flew the peach here with a whole bunch of giant bugs and everything, and people are laughing at him, and then the bugs show up. Like, you don't feel like the bugs are out of place in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're already used to seeing the peach in that world, because we saw it before. But then once the bugs kind of fly in on the seagulls, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and they're like, yeah, that's our James, you know, don't. And then, like, the ants get the weirdest comeuppance.
I know. I know. I was like, when I was watching that scene, I was like trying to remember how the ants get their comeuppance. I'm like, does the rhino get them too? That's a thing that happens sometimes in these kind of movies, that the big bad gets the enemy. But oh no, wrapped up in spider silk, like weird lady
Like,
mummies. Okay.
Literally mummified.
Bad people getting wrapped up in spider webbing in New York? That'll never fly in the movie.
What? The police are like, yeah, okay, all right, yeah, no, that's.
And just James is just cheering her on, tighter.
Yes, kill them, Miss Spider.
And like they're covered head to toe in webbing. Like those two ladies are suffocating.
I mean, last we see them, they are still wriggling, but I'm like, they do not have much oxygen left.
The trip, across the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean, so.
Do they need to breathe at all?
The one thing. Yeah, that is the one thing that I'm like, okay, maybe they survived that, because apparently they do not need oxygen in this world.
I mean, I do like that in that live action part and towards that ending, he's in the shadows, but Pete Postlethwaite is still there. Like, let the boy speak. And
yeah, he's just skulking around.
So he's real because he talks to the other real humans. He isn't just talking to James. How do you exist, old man? Who are you?
He's magic. He's literally credited as Magic Man. And I assume he's controlling the crane too, because we never see who's controlling the crane.
He at least better be controlling the spotlight, because otherwise I don't know how that spotlight guy knows who each of these bugs are and to hit them perfectly as James says who they are. Like, oh, Miss Spider. Yeah, of course, Miss Spider. Yeah, no. He's definitely going to say
there's literally only one spider. Like, has the dude ever seen a bug before?
But he knows what order he's going to go in.
I will give... There's that moment where James finally stands up to his aunts. And he says, no, I'm not going with you. And, you call me a dreamer. Well, look at this city. Somebody dreamed it up. And they made their dream a reality. And I kind of like that.
It's a good speech.
Yeah. He's been ridiculed for his dreams. Well, look, someone dreamed these buildings. Someone dreamed this city. And it's real. So my dreams can be real too. Which is when the bugs come back.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, even if this was a fantasy, a hallucination, or dream, his own willpower made them real in a way. If you want to go in that direction.
Mm-hmm.
That's a powerful kid. If what I just said is true.
And I can will giant bugs into existence, so maybe just give me a house in Central Park and take my ants away and don't give it another thought.
So yeah, I do like how they're kind of somewhat realistic. Like this peach isn't going to stay fresh forever. We got to do something. So yeah, they all the kids eat the peach, and I don't know how that peach is going to be, because we also have kids eating the peach while kids are also throwing confetti onto the peach.
Yeah, and Peach has been underneath a bunch of seagulls for God knows how long. It was in the ocean for a while. I mean, I guess they're New York kids. They got immune systems. They're fine.
I mean, James, I can understand. He hasn't had real food in who knows how long.
I mean, from the look of some of those New York kids, they hadn't had real food in a long time either.
I mean, considering the time frame, who knows? This is supposed to take place in the 40s.
Yeah. The thing is I like that during the credits we find out what happens to all the bugs.
They become, I mean, before we get to that credit, I do like how, and every day the kids came to James's house and had him tell the story, and his only wish was for everyone to know his story, and you just watched it. But yeah,
Stop breaking the fourth wall, people. Wait. It's creepy.
But yeah, it's we get those newspaper clippings during the end credits of what happened to the bugs afterwards. Like, Grasshopper joins the symphony, and Ladybug becomes a doctor, delivering 1,000 babies. And the fact that these are real old-timey photos with these characters superimposed on them.
Yeah, I like that the spider opens a nightclub. I do not like that Centipede becomes the mayor, but honestly, given what is going on right now with the New York mayor, I think Centipede would be a better mayor.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Just saying.
Timely humor.
The glowworm becomes the light and the torch of the Statue of Liberty.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's kind of a crappier job. Like, become like one of the lights on Broadway or something, you know?
It's a bit of a lonely job, yeah. She's an
Yeah,
old lady too. How long is she gonna be able to maintain that light?
Yeah. And we get our Randy Newman song. It's not the best Randy Newman song. It's not even the best song in the movie.
Yeah, let's talk about there's only like 5 songs in the movie. Like, we already talked about My Name is James, which is just James being a sad sack and talking about how his mom named him James and now she's dead and he misses her. And then they do That's the Life, which is the bugs are just like, yeah, we're bugs and we're living in a peach. That's awesome. And then later they remember that they live in a peach and maybe they should eat it for sustenance.
Eating the peach, yeah.
And
when I was a kid, I wanted to eat the movie Peach. So it's like, this is a real thing. I could go eat a peach right now, but I wanted the movie, the peach goo from the movie and the peach beer. I really wanted a peach beer.
one of my friends works for a meadery here in Georgia, which is the best meadery in the state. I absolutely love it. And they make a mead that is made from peaches.
Ooh.
And it is my absolute favorite thing in the world. So good. And
might need you to send me the link to this meadery.
I will, and it is very difficult to get delivered in your state. Sorry. So yeah, it's not quite peach beer, but peach mead, very good. Shout out to Viking Alchemist Meadery from Georgia. Anyway, and then they do that family song, which we talked about, which is just like, hey, we didn't start out as a family, but we went through an adventure, and now we're a family. And then Randy Newman is like, hey, good news, we made it to New York or something, and now the movie is over. And I'm going to tell you, if you asked me to sing any of these songs, I could not, and I have just watched this movie in the last couple of hours.
Same.
Yeah. Like, they're pretty forgettable songs. And like you were saying earlier, they don't really add much, and they don't really fit naturally in the story. It felt like, hey, we're making a Disney movie. Disney movies have songs. We need songs. Who's available? Randy Newman just did some songs for Toy Story. Yeah, we'll get him.
And the thing is like, Randy Newman is better than this?
Yeah. Maybe they didn't give him a lot of time to write the songs. Or maybe he wasn't interested. I'll just write a song in 5 minutes. Oh, they're a family. We're a family. His name is James. My name is James. Good.
And maybe he didn't have enough, maybe the movie wasn't far enough along for him to get specific context to make a more specific song.
The ending song is retelling the story of the movie, but it's vague enough that you can probably figure. He didn't get the full script to write the song. He just got a vague description of what the movie was about. But this movie has a post-credit scene.
Yes, it does.
And yeah, I mean, this is the 90s. We really didn't have post-credit scenes, or you're like nowadays everyone's staying after the movie to see the post-credit scenes of every movie. Then it's as soon as the credits were running, everyone's leaving, movie's over. But yeah, this one has a post-credit scene.
Except who?
Except you.
Except me. I was always the only person to catch all the post-credit sequences when they originally aired. Like, me and my dad were the only people to see the post-credit scene in Aladdin. Like, literally in the theater. We were the only people to see the post-credit scene in the theater. Because, like, nobody stays through the credits, and we would always get weird looks. But I'm like, I'm watching the credits, weirdos. Go away.
It's much less of an ask in the 90s when, credits were a reasonable length and not like another 20 minutes of movie.
Lady, I just need to clean this theater. Can you please leave?
Ow!
Yeah, we would always get looks from, like, the teens that were, like, cleaning the theater, like, can you please leave, but, like, we would always clean up our spot, so, like, they didn't have to, like, really clean our
oh, kids, you don't know how
stuff.
good you have it.
Yeah. But.
So, yeah, we get a little coin-operated game. Again, it's the 40s, so video games aren't a thing yet, but it's a little coin-operated game. We can assume it's James playing it. Called Spike the Aunts. And it's these little wooden puppets of the two aunts at their table spinning around while James plays as the rhino, spiking their butts with the rhino's horn.
And he gets a bullseye.
Right up Main Street. It's a cute little scene. It's not very long, but it's a little bit more of that comeuppance. James may not be able to physically manhandle his aunts. He can do it in a little game.
Unless he used his child powers to turn his aunts both into little wooden puppets and imprison them in this game.
Anything's possible. But yeah, James and the Giant Peach. Apparently. As I did not know that this existed, but until a few moments ago, there is a James and the Giant Peach stage musical. It is not based off the movie; it is directly based off the book. It debuted in 2010.
Wow!
I believe it is one of those one act. We'll sell it to a school, and kids will play, and kids will have that. Because I've seen a lot of kids' books get adapted into one-act plays for schools, for kids and stuff. So yeah, it has completely different songs. It is not the songs from this movie. I did not know this play existed until moments before we were doing all of this. So if you have ever seen the James and the Giant Peach stage musical, let us know. I wonder if there's like video on YouTube of it or something.
I don't know, but apparently they really tried to shop it around, and there is a cast recording.
Huh.
Apparently Megan Hilty and Skylar Astin were in it, and Brian Darcy James was the centipede.
I can buy it. I mean, he
Christian
was Shrek.
Borle as the grasshopper. Yeah, I mean, some of the cast is really good.
So
I will point out one last little thing. This continues our trend of child actors who did a couple of movies and then were like, yeah, this is not my permanent career. Because we've got Paul Terry in here as James. He did this, and then he did like a children's sitcom that Disney Channel and BBC co-produced. And then he was like, yeah, I'm gonna go to university and become a teacher.
Yeah,
And that's what he did.
As of now, he is a mathematics teacher.
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, good for him. As for this film, apparently there's been talk of a remake, a full-on live-action remake, as of 2017. As of 2017, I do not know if Disney is involved. There was that story a couple of years ago that Netflix had gotten the rights to all of the Dahl books. So if Netflix has the rights to the Dahl books and they want to produce a live-action James and the Giant Peach movie, I don't know about that.
CG bugs or actors in...
I don't know.
Outfits.
Again, as of 2017, nothing's happened.
No, I'm just musing on what they would likely do.
Probably CG bugs. It won't have the same charm that the stop motion animation has, at least to me. If the movie ever gets made, again, as of 2017, it's still in developmental hell, and it's 2024 now, so who knows? But yeah, there's a potential James and the Giant Peach reboot somewhere in some universe. So let us ask the question. Let's start with you, Lindsay. Does James and the Giant Peach have the magic?
Oh, I think it does. I still find it very magical.
All right, Kiki?
I think I definitely find magic in the animated parts. The first 30 minutes kind of drags for me, but if you can get through the horrific emotional and mental abuse of a child, the rest of the movie is pretty cute.
I will agree.
Yeah.
I will agree. This definitely has the magic. Again, that first 30 minutes live action part. Once it gets to the stop motion animation part, it really does pick up. It goes too fast. I'm going to honestly say the animated part, while it's about 45 minutes to an hour, it goes by way too fast.
Yeah.
And I wish there was more of it. I wish that this movie was like half an hour longer and we can have another adventure for James and the Bugs to go on before they hit New York. But that's me. Again, it's good. This is definitely what I would consider a family-friendly Halloween movie. If you want a movie for the little ones, or you don't want to scare them, the movie has enough of a creep factor that it can work in Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I would definitely, yeah.
Yeah, if your kid is not the type that likes the spooks, this is a good Halloween movie to put on, because there's the little skeletons under the water and all that, and there's the buggies, and there's the kind of scary ants, but there's not anything, really terrifying.
So again, Lindsay, thank you for joining us, and hopefully we can have you back on much sooner than later.
Yes, my pleasure. Thank you for inviting me. This was a lot of fun.
And of course, plug Solar Opposites one more time.
Watch the Solar Opposites Halloween special too. We put so much work into it, and it's crazy.
Yeah, so if you haven't watched Solar Opposites, please do so. It is an awesome show, and I'm so glad that it's still going on, and I hope it goes on for a very, very long time.
I hope so too. I just want to keep making it forever.
30 seasons later, right?
Yeah.
Hey, if The Simpsons could have 40 seasons, why not Solar Opposites?
I want more wall/yard.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. So as of next week, we are diving back into the world of the Disney Channel original movie. Kiki, it's time for a trip to Halloween Town. I know we just got talking about James and the Giant Peach, but I'm not talking about the world of Nightmare Before Christmas. I'm talking about the other Halloween Town.
We've put it off for far too long. Time to take that trip.
This is going to be a first watch for me. I know of the Halloween Town movies, but I've never actually sat and watched any of them.
Yeah, same here. So we'll see how that goes.
So come back next week for the Disney Channel original movie, Halloween Town, and we will talk to you all next time. Bye.
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 Don't let the magic stop here. Join our conversations on Facebook, Instagram, and Threads at Rewatching the Magic. We are on the X, formerly known as Twitter, at Rewatch the Magic. And new episodes are available every week at rewatchingthemagic.podbean.com. Remember, the magic is for everyone. It only stops if you let it. Podcasts are fun.
But there's work to be done.
We encourage you to get involved. Here are some organizations we support.
The American Civil Liberties Union fights for the constitutional rights of all Americans. Find them at aclu.org.
The National Network of Abortion Funds helps people find access to safe abortion services. Their site is abortionfunds.org.
The Trevor Project provides a 24/7 crisis helpline for LGBTQ youth and education services for schools on LGBTQ issues. They can be found at thetrevorproject.org.
Or find a way to help in your area.